What's going on, everybody? Here we are back with another week of our NFL picks. Been on an absolute heater so far this season, going 84-36 overall, 10-3 last week. I don't think you can find anybody out there on YouTube who's been doing better than us so far this season. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Glad you're here. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button, and tag along for our picks. Let's go ahead and jump right into this week. Starting off with Thursday night football, we've got the Ravens going to Miami to play the Dolphins. And you can see it on the screen, storyline here. Lamar Jackson is active. He's good to go this Thursday, and he's going to be back on the field. That's going to be a game changer for this Ravens team that really, really needs it. I think they're going to look to get back to that offense that we saw at the beginning of the season with Lamar. It's a team that really needs to get something going here. You know, they're starting to run out of time. I'm just going to say it right here, though. The Ravens win their division this season. Yes, I know it's not that strong. The Steelers are looking pretty good so far this season, but not great. Bengals are struggling a lot. Obviously, the Browns are probably not going to win it, but we're going to make the bold prediction. Ravens come back and win their division. Lamar Jackson's a beast, multiple-time MVP. He's going to lead them back to the promised land here in the second half of the season. Anyways, let's jump into this game. Dolphins have been up and down. I mean, they've had a lot of struggles and then some successes. This is a team that's been really hard to judge all season. 1 week, you were saying fire Tua, fire McDaniels, clean the house, and then the next week they go out and go for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and win the game. So it's a team that's been really hard to judge. In this one on Thursday night, I've got the Ravens. I think they're going to get back on track in this one, and I really do think that they're the better football team on both sides of the ball, and Lamar Jackson is the X factor. He's an MVP winner. He's an absolute beast, and the Ravens are going to win on Thursday. Next up, we got the Falcons going on the road to play the red-hot Patriots. And starting with the Falcons, it looks like Penix will be back this week. Kirk Cousins subbed in for him last week and looked terrible. So I'm kind of going to just throw everything out the window for last week. It was just a weird game. Kirk looked bad. Their defense looked bad. It didn't look like the same Falcons team that we've seen most of this season. I'd say all of the season, but there was obviously that fluky game against the Panthers where they got just blown out. So I do think that Penix coming back this week will help. Going over to the Patriots, they're playing really, really good football so far. Drake May is looking like an absolute beast. I know we said it last week, but they are nonstop comparing him and his stats during the Patriots broadcasts to the hot runs that Tom Brady went on during his career. And obviously Drake May is not Tom Brady, but he is sure playing good football right now. On a Patriots team that the rest of the squad looks really good as well. So they're a hard team to beat so far this season, and I think they're going to be a hard team to beat again on Sunday. In this matchup, we've got a couple of strength-on-strength things happening. Falcons' identity and their success has been in running the football, and they're going up against a Patriots front seven that has been really tough all season. They've been tough against the pass, they've been tough against the run, but it's going to be a tough matchup here for the Falcons going up against this Patriots front seven. Excited to see who comes out on top in this one. Another strength-on-strength matchup is the Patriots' pass protection has been great this season. Addition to Will Campbell has been huge for them. He's been an anchor on that left side. And for the Falcons, their offseason additions has made this pass rush actually pretty special. It's looked pretty good so far this season. So Falcons' pass rush is a strength on their defense versus the Patriots' strength of offensive line. Will definitely be another matchup to watch in this one. At this point, I just can't bet against the Patriots. They look red hot. Travion Henderson, the more explosive back in that backfield, was getting more involved last week, and he sure looked good when they were giving him the ball. He did fumble it once, and I think that might affect his usage a little bit this week and going forward. I want to see them give him the rock more because I think he could open up things in the run game for the Patriots. But they're red hot. They're playing great football, and we are going to keep riding with the Patriots. They're getting the win over the Falcons in this one. Next up, we got the Vikings at the Lions. And starting with the Vikings, you can see it on the screen, J.J. McCarthy is back. Now, I don't know how excited Vikings fans should be for that, honestly. He didn't look real great in the start of the season. I honestly think he's had one good quarter in the NFL so far. Yes, he was injured all of last year, so let's, obviously not account for the fact that he's been in the NFL for over a year and he's been injured quite a bit so far this season. Hopefully that's not telling the story for the rest of his career. But when he's been on the field, he hasn't really looked all that great so far. Really only one good quarter, the fourth against the Bears early in the season. So I'm not sure McCarthy coming back really changes a whole lot for the Vikings. And honestly, just overall for the Vikings, they haven't looked all that great so far this season. Their offensive line's been banged up all year and has struggled to protect whoever's been behind center. The run game hasn't been real good so far this season. I know Aaron Jones has been injured a lot, but they just haven't had any explosive plays. And the defense hasn't been what we all expect from the Minnesota Vikings, especially against the run game. They've been very susceptible. And in this matchup, going up against a Lions team that loves to run the football. The Lions are a machine on offense. They're really difficult to stop. And I think you can see him on the screen. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to go off on Sunday. I could even see David Montgomery having a big game. I really do think the Lions dominate time of possession. I think they dominate the line of scrimmage. And I think they dominate the Vikings in this game. We're picking the Lions in this one. Next up, we got the Bears at the Bengals. And both of these teams coming off tough losses. The Bears lost to the Tyler Snoop Huntley-led Ravens last week. And the Bengals are coming off a tough loss against the 0-7, now 1-7 Jets. For the Bengals, Flacco is a coin flip, in my opinion, to play on Sunday. If I had to guess today, time of recording is Thursday, I would guess Flacco does not play on Sunday, which is a huge hit for the Bengals. They've looked like a completely different team since he has been out there and since he took over the starting job after that trade with Cleveland. So I do think that's going to be a major factor and something we got to pay attention to in this one is if Flacco will be active or not. On the defensive side of the ball for the Bengals, they looked awful last week against the Jets and have been really, really bad all season. They didn't have anything going for them defensively against the run or the pass for the Jets against the Jets last week. And it's only going to get more difficult in this matchup against the Bears, who have a pretty good offense. The Bears are giving me flashes of like Trevor Lawrence. I should back up. The Bears are giving me flashes of Jaguars early in Trevor Lawrence's career. Caleb Williams makes big time throws just like Lawrence, and then he misses wide open guys 8 yards from the line of scrimmage. So he's inconsistent, and the Bears are kind of ride or die on Caleb. When he has a bad game, they have a bad game and they lose. I understand quarterback play is important. It's the biggest factor in the league, but Caleb needs to be more consistent for the Bears to win. In this one, I expect the Bears to be able to run the ball very successfully against the Bengals, dominate time of possession, and probably have a lot more ball control than the Bengals, specifically due to the run game. Chase Brown and Samaje Perine did get going the last couple of weeks with the Bengals, but I do think the Bears are going to have more success in the running game in this one. If Flacco doesn't play, we're going to have to reevaluate this one. I think that the Bears secondary can get exposed by Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Flacco throwing the ball downfield. But if he does play, we have to reevaluate it. But if he doesn't, which is what I'm assuming, we will definitely be taking the Bears in this one. Expect Jake Browning to do what he always does, make a couple mistakes, make a couple big throws. But I do think the Bears are the better football team, and they're going to get the win in this one, assuming Flacco doesn't play. Keep an eye out in the comments, just like for the last few weeks. If we have any last-minute injury updates, I will update the pick in the comments, but we're going with the Bears. Next up, we got the Broncos at the Texans. And starting last week for the Texans, they absolutely dominated the 49ers in a game where they had total control of time of possession from the very, very get-go. I don't know what the numbers looked like on number of plays, first downs, actual time of possession, but if you guys watched that game, the Texans offense was out there the entire time, especially in the first half. This was a week where we finally saw the Texans offensive line step up and protect Stroud a little bit better. We've been waiting for that all season. Before the season even started, we said it was going to be the kryptonite for the Texans. Mind you, they were going up against a 49ers defensive line that has struggled to pressure the quarterback without Bosa and without Warner out there, but they did look much more competent last week, and that's going to be huge. And honestly, the deciding factor in this game for if the Texans are going to be able to win or not, going up against a Broncos pass rush that is really, really good and has been good against every team so far this season. Going to be a much tougher matchup, and I'm excited to see how the Texans O-line, that's been a little bit better the last few weeks, holds up in this one. I think one thing that's really, really important in this one is for the Broncos, Pat Surtain is out in this one. Had he been in, he was probably going to be shadowing Nico Collins, and Nico Collins will be back this week after suffering that concussion 2 weeks ago and missing last week. He will be back. So I expect Nico Collins to have a big game. I don't know if they're going to shadow him. Jahdae Barron would be next up for the Broncos to do that, but I just don't think they probably trust him at this point to cover Nico. So I'm curious to see what the Broncos do to mitigate Nico Collins going up against a depleted secondary. My guess is Broncos really send the pass rush. For the Broncos offensively, they've looked pretty good. They obviously had a huge week against the Cowboys last week, but that's going up against a Cowboys secondary that's just terrible. So yes, they did great. I don't know how much of that really was the Broncos. We've still seen a lot of ups and downs from Bo Nix this season. Going into the actual pick for this game, I have a very, very strict rule that if a team is a Vegas favorite but a public underdog, I take the Vegas favorite. The Texans are 1.5 point favorites against the Broncos in this one, and everybody is picking the Broncos to win. Now, if I didn't know what the line was, I'd probably say that the Broncos are favored in this one. However, Vegas knows more than any of us do, and I'm going to ride with Vegas. We're going with the Texans to beat the Broncos in this one, and also to steal a game on the field, meaning the public is favoring the Broncos when the Texans are favorites from Vegas. So we're going to trust Vegas. We're going to go against the public, steal a game on everybody in one where the Texans are going to pull it out. Next up, we got the Panthers at the Packers. And starting off with my Packers, they're coming off a huge win over Pittsburgh last week, where I think Jordan Love really showed Aaron Rodgers who the truth is, who the future is. Packers fans were not left last week being sad, being angry about Aaron Rodgers leaving. They were pumped. We got Jordan Love. He's the future of the Packers franchise, and he sure looked good last week. The Packers played really good ball on both sides of the football last week. Christian Watson returned for the offense from his torn ACL that happened towards the end of last season and was an immediate impact. Packers looked really strong last week. For the Panthers, Andy Dalton started at quarterback last week for Bryce Young. Bryce Young had an ankle injury that held him out, and Dalton looked absolutely terrible. As a TCU alum, that hurts me to say, but Andy Dalton sucks at football at this point in his career. He looked absolutely garbage last week. And it is likely that Dalton will be starting again on Sunday. And whether he is or it's Bryce Young, I think the Packers just absolutely dominate this one. Packers pass rush has been really, really good. And Dalton has very little mobility, and Bryce Young on an ankle injury would also have very low mobility. So I think they're going to be able to get to the passer in this one. Against a Panthers offensive line that's been really good in the run, but not that great in pass protection. So I do think Packers are going to have a lot of success rushing the passer, having a ball control game where Jacobs has a big one, as well as, Emmanuel Wilson has looked really good over the last few weeks. So I think the Packers win this one easily, and they're just the better football team. There's no debate in that one, and we're going with the better football team, and it's really impossible to pick against my Green Bay Packers. Now, before we get too far, I know you guys must be like, oh, he's wearing a Steelers jersey. What are you talking about, Packers fan? Die-hard Packers fan, but we love the jersey game. We're rocking Troy Polamalu this week. A little throwback jersey action for you. Just wanted to rep something cool, and Polamalu was a hell of a safety, so we're rocking his jersey this week. Anyways, moving on to our next pick. We've got the 49ers at the Giants. And you can see it on the screen, obviously the sad news of Cam Scatterbo being out for the foreseeable future with that nasty ankle injury. Prayers up for him. Hopefully he heals up fast and is able to return to play at some point not too far down the road. There's a lot of speculation about how long is his recovery. Is he ever going to step back on the football field? He's a dog. He will be back. Just a matter of how long it will be and how effective he will be. I really hope we see the same version of him because truthfully, I'm very excited for what the Giants are building and the future that they have with Dart, Neighbors, and Scat. I think that's an offense with a good recipe for success. So anyways, jumping into this game, Scatabo's out, Tyrone Tracy in, and I think it's going to be really difficult for the Giants to keep that same recipe that they've had over the last few weeks with Dart and Scat running the ball a lot. That's kind of where all their success has stemmed from over the last few weeks is running the ball. I think they're still going to try to continue doing that, run the ball, play good defense, but I don't know how successful they're going to be without him on the field. For the 49ers, it's unknown who will be starting at quarterback for the Niners. I would guess that Purdy will not play this week. It's been really inconsistent on what we're getting from Kyle Shanahan on will he play, will he not play. His practice participation is really all over the board. And that's kind of what you get with some of these turf toe injuries. They can be really, really nagging at times. So you might feel good one day, and then you're really not feeling good the next. So I'm not expecting Purdy to play on Sunday. And honestly, I don't think it will play that big of a factor. I know Brock Purdy is a much better quarterback than Mac Jones, but it doesn't change the scheme whatsoever that the Niners run. They both get the ball up quick, throw the ball short, and try to run the offense through McCaffrey. So don't think that really matters. But for the 49ers, going back to last week, it was just a weird one. They got absolutely dominated by the Texans, especially with time of possession early. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I'm just going to kind of throw that one out the window. It was an oddball game for the 49ers and one where they didn't look like themselves. In this game, I just think that the 49ers are the better football team. They're getting much healthier. It looks like all their weapons, other than maybe Purdy and Ayuk, obviously, who hasn't been activated off the PUP list yet this season. But it does look like all those weapons will be healthy in this one. And I just think that they're going to be too much to keep up with in a Giants offense that is going to struggle to figure out their new identity without Cam Scatterbo. So we are picking the 49ers to go on the road and get the win against the Giants. Next up, we got the Chargers at the Titans. And starting off with the Chargers, offenses look pretty good the last couple of weeks. I know that matchup against the Colts, they got blown out and they were kind of chasing and just throwing the ball a crazy ton. They still had some success on offense against a pretty good team. The defense was the issue in that game. For the Chargers, Oronde Gadsden, his emergence has really opened things up for the Chargers. It's a tough team to stop, especially through the air. Obviously, as we mentioned, Gadsden's been really good. You got McConkey, Johnston, Keenan Allen. When O'Marion Hampton gets back, he's going to open up the run game a little bit better. And Kamani Vidal has been quite good in Hampton's absence. So this Chargers offense, I think, has been really strong this season. Everyone thought the Harbaugh offense was going to be run the ball, play good defense, and it's really not at all what his typical scheme is. It's air raid, throw the football, trust your star quarterback, and try to play as good a defense as you possibly can. For the Titans, same thing as it's been all season. That offensive line is garbage, and they have really struggled to protect Cam Ward. I don't know any quarterback who could step into his situation and succeed. I've been hearing bust from so many different people regarding Cam Ward, and he's not even halfway through his first season in the NFL, playing for, by far, the worst football team in the NFL. I think they're far worse than the Jets. I know I've been saying that even for the last few weeks, even when the Jets didn't have a win yet. Titans were handed their only win this season, and honestly, it might be the only one unless another team has a meltdown like the Cardinals did a few weeks ago. Chargers are 8.5-point favorites in this one, and honestly, I don't think that line is enough. I got the Chargers winning and covering that spread by a mile. I think the Chargers get it done very easily in this one. Next up, we got Indiana Jones and the Colts going to play Rodgers and the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Starting off with the Colts, they are 7-1. The Colts are 7-1. I cannot believe it. I didn't have them doing very good this season when I created my preseason forecasts and rankings. I don't remember exactly what my record for them was, but it wasn't all that great. And boy, was I wrong, because Indiana Jones, Jonathan Taylor, this offensive line, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, they are balling. The Colts are the most efficient offense in the NFL. They just don't have negative plays, and I think that's because their offensive line is just dominant. They live and breathe behind that dominant offensive line. Jonathan Taylor has had a monster season so far. And if you would have told me Daniel Jones was leading the best team in the NFL before this season started, I would have said you are absolutely crazy and you've never seen a snap of football in your life. But here we are. It's week 9. Colts have the best record in the NFL and are arguably a Super Bowl favorite at this point. For the Steelers, they're coming off a tough loss against my Green Bay Packers, in one that I really wanted to see the Packers go out and dominate, and boy was I happy watching that last Sunday night. Their secondary, the Steelers secondary, got absolutely exposed against the truth Jordan Love last week. So the Steelers struggling defensively. I think we all expected this defensive unit to be pretty strong, and it's really not looking all that great so far this season. And honestly, I don't see a real identity from the Steelers. They kind of seem to play a different, they have a different blueprint really every week, and it seems to be totally matchup based. Some weeks they want to play strong defense, run the football, ball control, try to win the game that way. And other weeks they tell Aaron Rodgers to go out and throw the ball 40 times, try to be a flamethrower, and win shootouts. And that's just not Mike Tomlin Steelers football. I'd love to see them get back into an identity of playing strong defense and safe ball control offense. And in this one, we are just not going to pick against one of the hottest teams in the NFL. The Colts are going to extend their win streak to 5 in this one as they keep the train rolling. It's a fever dream over there in Indianapolis, and it's not ending on Sunday. Colts win this one. Next up, we got the Saints at the Rams, and we had to throw up the old Rams logo in that one, throwback to the St. Louis Rams. But anyways, starting off with the Saints, in a shocking decision, at least to me, the Saints benched Rattler for Tyler Shuck last week. And I don't think Rattler has looked bad this season. He hasn't looked good, by no means, but he hasn't looked bad. And it's a team that I think it's really difficult to look good on. They've got a couple weapons on offense for him to use, but the offensive line is really struggling. The run game is really struggling, and obviously the defense has sucked so far this season. So it's not a good situation for any quarterback. And honestly, I don't think Rattler deserved to be benched. Tyler Shuck looked like a deer in the headlights last week. He looked absolutely lost out there. I have no confidence in him as an NFL quarterback. I was shocked when he got drafted when he did. I don't think he was even all that great at Louisville. I think he was very much a game manager there, and I think at best he is a game manager in the NFL. Going to the Rams, they are a really good football team. I think people are sleeping on the Rams. They have 2 losses this season, one loss being to the Philadelphia Eagles, where they choked in the fourth quarter and then had a field goal blocked at the end of the game to lose. And their other loss being just kind of a dud of a Thursday night performance against the Mac Jones-led 49ers, where Mac Jones looked like freaking Tom Brady. So 2 losses, both very avoidable losses. I think the Rams are a really, really good football team, and they're getting Puka Nacua back this week. He is a zone warrior. He beats zone defenses like nobody else in the league, and the Saints run a ton of zone defense. Rams are a scary good football team going up against a Tyler Shuck-led Saints team. There is not a chance the Saints win this one. I don't know what the spread is. I think I saw it was like 14 or something like that. But honestly, I don't even know if the Saints can make up 14 points in this game. So we are definitely picking the Rams to get the win at home in this one. Next up, we got the Jaguars going on the road to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. For the Raiders on offense, they have really struggled specifically because of that offensive line. It's similar to the Texans. We've been saying it since before the season started. It's their kryptonite. If they want to have success, if they want to win football games, they have to fix it. The unique thing for the Raiders is their offensive line didn't have much turnover since last season, and they weren't all that bad last season. So I'm not really sure exactly what happened there. Some injuries up front. Guys have been shuffled around a little bit, but they just haven't looked good up front, and it's been really difficult for them. On top of that, Geno Smith has been a turnover machine this season. It seems like he throws the ball to the other team more than he throws it to his own guys, and that's going to be really difficult in this matchup against the Jaguars, whose defense has been creating a ton of turnovers. Not many in the last couple of weeks. I want to say they didn't have any interceptions in the last 2 weeks. I could be wrong on that one. That's just off the top of my head thinking back to their last 2 weeks. But the Jaguars have created a lot of turnovers this season going up against a Raiders offense, specifically Geno Smith. That's been a turnover machine. I expect the Jags to be able to force a couple on Sunday. The one thing that I think will work in the Raiders' favor is Brock Bowers is returning. And I don't know how big of a game he's going to have, specifically because I think Devin Lloyd's going to be all over him on Sunday, and the Jaguars defend the middle of the field really, really well. So I think they can mitigate Bowers' performance a little bit. And jumping over to the Jaguars, we talked about that defense a little bit. They've kind of been a bend, don't break defense, creating turnovers instead of getting legitimate stops. So that's kind of a little bit of a scary way to rely on stopping the other team's offense. But they're coming off a blowout loss against the Rams. I think the Rams are just a really good football team, and that's kind of a game that just got away from them. But I do think this is a game where the Jags get back to their identity, which is zone runs behind an offensive line that's looked pretty good so far this season and creating turnovers on defense. And I think the Jags get the win in this one. Next up, we got the Kansas City Chiefs going on the road to play the Buffalo Bills. This is my game of the week. I think everyone has been looking forward to this matchup. Starting with the Chiefs. They look really, really good right now. If I had to pick a Super Bowl champion today, I'd have to pick the Chiefs. I know we want to see someone different in there. I know we want to see someone different win the Super Bowl, but they look like the best team in the NFL right now. And I think, honestly, we all underestimated the effects of Rashee Rice. Their offense has been absolutely elite with him out there. Specifically in the red zone, that team has been really, really good. They've been extremely successful in the red zone since Rashee Rice came back. And this is just a Chiefs offense that's really tough to stop. The one good thing going for the Bills defensively is their red zone defense has been pretty dang good, especially over the last couple of weeks. So I am looking forward to watching that matchup with the Chiefs in the red zone. For the Bills, their success has come with James Cook running the football and then opening up the passing lanes because of him. And this is definitely a game where I think they could have some success running the football. The Chiefs haven't been nearly as good as they have in the past against stopping the run, but I do think that second line of defenders for the Chiefs is pretty good. Leo Chenal, Tranquil, those guys can play good football, especially against the run. So the biggest factor in this game, though, is the pass defense for each of these teams. Chiefs have one of the best secondary pass defenses in the league, and the Bills have one of the worst. And if I had to pick a passing offense that's better at this point in the season, it is definitely the Chiefs. So a strong passing offense going up against a bad passing defense in the Bills. We are picking the Chiefs. The spread's 2.5 points. I am hammering the Chiefs side of that spread. I think they win this game by more than 2.5 points, specifically because they're going to be able to throw the ball all over the Bills. The one good thing that the Bills do have going for them this week is Matt Milano will be returning to play this week, so it's going to help out a little bit. But ultimately, I do think the Chiefs beat the Bills in what I see to be a shootout, but the Chiefs passing offense having a big day. Chiefs win this game. Next up, we got the Seahawks at the Commanders on Sunday Night Football. And starting off with the Seahawks, the man on the screen right there, Sam Darnold. We doubted him all offseason, and he's proved us wrong. Darnold has looked great for Seattle so far this season, and especially JSN. Those two are looking unstoppable. JSN has finally transitioned from an underneath slot-type receiver to a downfield threat, and it is clearly where he is best. He's looked really, really good so far this season. And I worry about the Commanders' ability to stop that Seahawks pass game. The Commanders' secondary has really struggled so far this season to slow down good passing offenses. So I do think that's going to be a struggle for them. On the defensive side of the ball for the Seahawks, they look pretty dang good. They've been tough to play against. It's going to be tough for the Commanders on Sunday. Jaden Daniels, you can see on the screen, I'm assuming he is back this Sunday. I think that's going to be a game changer for them. They've struggled to run the football specifically, and I do think that Jaden Daniels is going to open that up a lot. Specifically because, A, he can run the football quite well. Mariota's done a good job of that the last couple of weeks, but Daniels can run the football quite well. But the downfield passing threat opens up the run game a little bit, and I don't think Mariota really gives the Commanders a huge downfield threat. Additionally, Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel are both back on Sunday, so I think that this Commanders offense will finally come together and have a better game this week. Although this is just not a matchup where I feel good about the Commanders. Their pass defense has really struggled. They kind of rely more on the passing game on offense, going up against a Seahawks secondary that's been pretty dang good. So I think Seattle matches up really good against the Commanders in this one, and we are going to pick Seattle to get the cross-country road win on Sunday Night Football. Last up, we got Monday Night Football. We got the Cardinals going on the road to play the Dallas Cowboys. Oh boy, this could be interesting. Kyler Murray looks like he will be back, but honestly, I do think they should start Jacoby Brissett at this point. Be a crazy decision to bench Murray and start Brissett, but he's looked so much better than Kyler, especially throwing the ball down the field. Brissett's looked much, much better than Kyler Murray. He just seems like he's more on the same page with these receivers. I don't know if Kyler Murray's playing too much Call of Duty or what. Maybe the new one came out recently and Kyler's just been gaming all the time and not playing football and practicing with his receivers. I don't know what the problem is there with Kyler and specifically his connection to MHJ, but he's really struggled. I do think the Cardinals should sit him, start Brissett, and give him an extra week to get healthy if he's not healthy already. So for the Cowboys defense, they've been very susceptible to the pass, specifically downfield, and that's why I'm saying Brissett would be the better start this week. He's a much better downfield passer. The Cowboys their defense got exposed last week against the Broncos. They looked terrible. They haven't looked good all season on defense. But the story for the Cowboys is that passing offense. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Ferguson, they've looked really, really good throwing the football this season, and people sleep on Dak Prescott. I'm a Packers fan. I am not a Cowboys fan whatsoever, but I think Dak gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I think he's actually a really, really solid quarterback. He's played like one of the best quarterbacks in the league this season. In this matchup, I think the Cowboys are going to have a lot of success throwing the football against a Cardinals secondary that's been mediocre at best this season. Cardinals have done a good job at stopping the run, and when the Cowboys haven't been able to run the football, that's when they've really struggled so far this season. So I do see a world where the Cowboys become very one-dimensional in this one. They're throwing the football a ton, and they struggle a little bit to do so. But ultimately, I just think they're so much better than the Cardinals. And I did vow to never pick the Cardinals again after that meltdown against the Titans when they ruined the rest of my elimination, my Survivor season. So screw the Cardinals. We're picking the Cowboys in this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the picks this week. A little bit chalk, but hey, that's who we think's going to win these games this week. So I hope you enjoyed. Hit the like button. Comment what you think below. Good luck this week, and tune in for the video next week. Have a good one.